Hey, welcome back to ZK Master Tech. Man, has it been a week, let me tell you. Normally, I usually start videoing on Tuesday. Usually I take Mondays off, and then, I try to video a little bit each day. And then, you guys have been asking me, like, how do you have time to do these videos and get all this work done? Well, I don't, really. But I try to do the best I can. So, you don't see everything that I do, but I just try to tag you guys along whenever I think the job is interesting or it's something I haven't done before. I try to put as much unique content on the channel as possible so it's not repetitive, but a lot of the jobs that I do are repetitive. It's the same failures over and over and over again. So this week I've been busy with, I've had a hydro pump failure on a S780. I've had, augers going out of X9s, and I've had, of course, the shop projects that you guys seen, working on those. And then it's all the little service calls of codes and, all this other stuff that I've been doing. And this week has been particularly hard just because we still haven't had a rain really this entire fall. We have had sprinkles and rain here and there, but it's never been enough to slow anybody down more than a half a day. So of all of this is my 15th harvest at Sloan Implement. I think this fall has by far been the most full throttle fall, like just no stop, just go every single day, taking no breaks. So it's been particularly hard to video and do all that stuff and edit and everything, when I'm working all these hours. So today's Thursday already, so I've had plenty of time off of videoing, and I apologize for that, but this week's just been particularly hard, and I've had some family events and stuff that I've had to go to, and I've had to leave work early for some few things, so I just haven't had a lot of time after work to work on stuff. So anyway, welcome to Harvest Service Call 6. Can't believe it's 6 already. Anyway, so first call yesterday. Let's see, at the end of the day, I went and looked at a 8310R, and it was setting a XSC code for the main pump pressure low, basically. And the customer was complaining that when he was swinging his auger out on the cart, he would lose steering on the tractor. And as soon as I heard that story, I immediately knew what it was. It's probably the priority valve O-rings just blown out completely, but the tractor was still operational and the oil was super hot, and I didn't want to pull that valve out in the field and get hot oil all over me right at the end of the day. So we agreed that we'd pull his tractor into his nice shop when the oil is cool, and we would yank the priority valve out and check the O-rings out. So we're on our way to go do that now, so let's get into it. All right, we're here. Man, you ain't balling unless you have an actual basketball court with a scoreboard that works in your shop. Look how awesome that is. Anyway, here's the 8310R. So I got my tools underneath there, so we're going to be going underneath there and pulling the priority valve out of the main hydraulic pump. And I almost guarantee it that these O-rings are just done. All right, so we got our main hydraulic pump here. Here's our priority valve. So the first thing is we're going to take this line off the priority valve. I'm using the old Milwaukee Rover floodlight. It's one of my favorite lights to use to work on underneath the tractor. So these things are in here really tight, and there's really not a whole lot of room to get a 1/2 inch ratchet up in here. So I'm going to use the high torque impact with a 1 7/8 socket on a swivel. Oh boy. Uh-oh. I lost one. See? I told you they were going to be blown. That was the one on the end, blown. And the rest of them, there ain't much left of them. Pretty chewed up and thin. That one's really thin right there. Yeah, there's not much left of that. They're just wore down. Of course, I'm using these shop ready rags from New Pig. They are by far the best thing ever for wiping your hands, grease, oil, grime. I mean, they're amazing. Use my new Snap-on knife. Boop.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Got a priority valve O-ring kit here. So you can buy this $25 kit. Here's the part number for that. And you can get this whole valve right here, but it's about $800 some for this valve that comes with the O-rings on it. Or you can spend $25 and get you a kit and put that on there. Now, I have seen these valves go bad, but it's not very often. It's, you know, if you pull it out and you got blown O-rings, you might as well put the seal kit on and just see what happens. So each O-ring's a different size too. So you got to kind of pay attention. Lay them out. Obviously that's that one. So these go on in that order. Okay. Let's put the black one on first. I like to put the small one on first. And then your next O-ring doesn't get stuck in the groove. Okay. Looks like we're good. Okay, lube the O-rings with some oil. Get in the hole. The hole is your home. I didn't see any chunks of O-ring in the pump. You know, they eat them. Where they go? Probably the filter. Okay. You know, just kind of love tap it in. Don't have to go crazy. Okay. That O-ring feels good. So, in case you guys are wondering, well, what is a priority valve? Well, it's a valve that prioritizes oil. Go figure, right? So it makes sure that the steering and the brakes circuits are satisfied before the more unimportant circuits, like, you know, main hydraulics, stuff like that. So it prioritizes them first, so they get oil first. You know, safety, it's a thing. Okay. Give her a little wipey. This thing's getting ready to go to the field. It's going to get covered in dust. And dust is nature's best floor dry. Time to test. Alright, I got an SCV on. Before it would not steer with an SCV on. Fixed. Alright, well that was a nice easy fix. So next service call, we got to go back to the X9 that had the unload swing cylinder snap in the last video, because I got to replace the cylinder again. Anyway, sorry, I had a phone call, but so this cylinder, apparently I found out that if you don't pre-oil it, or you don't like do little short strokes back and forth to get enough oil in the cylinder, you can roll the cushion seals. But if you go back and watch that video, whenever he went to go out, he auto extended the cylinder. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Flip it back. You know what I mean? To make it stop.
Yeah, don't go auto.
Don't go auto. Just bump it.
And it went all the way out and probably rolled the cushion seals. So the cushion seals allow the oil to have to be forced through an orifice whenever the piston gets close to the oil ports on there. So then it slows down at the last little bit going out and swinging back to the cradle. Well, now it just swings, you know, full speed back and forth, and it's slamming into the cradle. So we're going to replace this cylinder again. Okay, got the clampies off. Better take those off or they go somewhere.
Is he emitting the oil yet?
Well, here, popping and a cracking. There we go. That wasn't too bad. Pretty sure we probably popped the O-ring though. Actually, no.
Let go. Let go. Got all you need there for caps and stuff?
Yeah, we're good now. Feels like it'll wiggle out.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh. Must be bigger thread than that. Go up one more size. My fingertip gauge was off. Oh. Was there a shorter one? Can only go down her so far.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
It ain't moving down. All right.
Give me a indexing pry bar out of that side, the big one.
The big dog?
Well, it's the biggest in that on that side. The big dog's in the bumper.
There we go. Great. There you go. Washer's loose. Pin's loose. It's out. Rage.
Cool. Awesome.
He dropped it off my finger.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
It ain't gonna
I don't know if we want to have you hit the button again.
I ain't doing it. I'm doing it.
Let's see.
Yelled at me last time, ain't doing it.
Dustin.
Oh, come on, whoa! When I say whoa, I mean whoa!
Grab me the Nipex Cobra pliers, the big ones. On top.
It's gonna
Right.
have to come
Top
out.
right of that pry rack.
Gonna have to come out a little bit.
Boy. Those don't move. Like at all. Well, I think what we ought to do is put the hoses on it, and then I'll just pull it out, and I'll have you just short stroke it back and forth till we get it all bled. And I'll keep it away to where it can't catch on that and
That's what I did
swing.
the first time.
You were just supposed to bump it.
I did. No, so ow, 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 ow.
You fully bumped it.
Red eye?
Yeah. Try to go back, like fold it back
Okay.
to force oil down on this end. Keep going. Okay, now out. Short strokes. Back and forth. Back and forth. Have them go out like an inch. Right there. Stop. That might be close.
Yeah.
Let's get this pin in here. Oh yeah.
There you go.
Looking better. Give me that washer. Oh yeah.
You go in.
Yep.
That's about a cheesy deal. Who thought of that?
What? That?
Coming through there. I mean, I guess it
Well,
works,
keeps it from falling out. Can't fall out, it'll work, I guess.
it'd probably come down just far enough to hit this.
Yeah. Cool, awesome, wow. Slows down. Is that any better? That's way better. Well, that seemed to fix that problem, so hopefully by pre-lubing those seals like we did, it won't roll the cushion seals and it'll be happy now. That's like the only hydraulic cylinder that you have to do that. Cylinders with cushion seals like that, you have to either pre-lube them real good or, you know, work them back and forth, short strokes, so you get everything lubricated to where it doesn't roll those cushion seals in there. So anyway, the calls keep rolling in. Now I'm headed to a S780 combine. Work order says unit has fault codes and the unload auger will not swing in or out. So I'm gonna guess that the pins on the probably the RC2 controller. It's either RC1 or RC2. It's the one at the bottom. I think it's an RC2. I bet you when I unplug the bottom connector on that controller that there's corrosion in there. Anybody wanna bet? There it is. RC2 power 1, voltage not within specification. Unload auger swing problem. Yeah. Hello, Mr. RC2. Yep. Told you. Great. Man. That was okay. It's always the bottom one. It's where all the moisture goes to. And there's not even moisture. It hasn't rained forever. We're in extreme drought conditions here now. Oh, for Pete's sake. Yep. It's the bottom one. Dang it. That's not good. Severe corrosion. Well, there's nothing left of those bottom pins. I went to just barely try to scrape them with my pocket stick and they just crumbled like they were nothing. That's what I figured. So I need to get a new RC2 controller, and then I'm gonna have to take the bad pins out of that connector and put some RWAs in there to fix this right. All right, so you guys remember me taking one of these apart the last video? So you got these little tabs. You're gonna put excuse me, you're gonna put a little pressure right here. Pry these little tabs out. Until this slides off like that. Slide that guy off. Don't lose it now. That's what your lever hooks to. And when you get some of this cleaned off, so there's two different sizes of terminals here, and we're going to be replacing the bottom two rows because that's where all the corrosion were, and they are actually the bigger pins in the connector. So these are all the smaller ones, these are all the bigger ones. Well, it looks like the good news is, see, those are CAN bus wires, or twisted pair. I'll try to get this all separated. Huh. They don't use the second row of pins, they're all plugs in there, so I guess we only got to replace 3 wires. One, two, three, which looks like our power and ground wires going to that controller. But hopefully we can get those out without the terminal breaking in the connector, so that'd be nice. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pry up on this terminal lock. Get it fully unlocked like that. Our cinch tool. So there's no part number on this. I got this in a master John Deere terminal tool that my service manager gave to me probably 15 years ago. So there's no number, okay? This is what it is part of that kit. Don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I could probably look it up and find the part number for that. So see how these have these 2 dots right here? So you got 2 different sizes. This is the CP 1.5, and then you got the CP 0.6. So the 0.6 are for the smaller ones. The 1.5 is for these. And when you press this down in there, which one of these holes was full of corrosion, kind of wiggle it in place. There. Get it fully seated, and then I just kind of wiggle and twist, try to bend down the tab that's actually holding it in the best that I can. Okay, all right, now we got to try to pull this wire out. Oh, would you look at that? And the pliers I'm using here are these little pliers here, or they're Fiskars is the brand, but I don't know where I got these, but I like them. They got little cutters on them. They're, you know, small. So I got that one pulled out. Okay. One thing I want to point out on these is these terminals, boy, that's really corroded inside that. You know, I know it's hard to see on camera, but these terminals have these little dots almost on the end that stick out. Well, there's little grooves in this connector that those dots, those little tabs, we'll call them tabs, okay? We'll call them alignment tabs. Those little alignment tabs go in, and that's what clocks your terminal in the correct orientation to go in those holes. Okay. So we're just going to do this one terminal at a time. Okay, and we're going to cut it somewhere right in here. Ooh, I think my parts just showed up. And we're just going to give it a snip right there. Now, we're going to take our new one. And just to verify, we're going to compare the two of them. Make sure they're the right ones. Yep, those are the right ones. So, part number on these is, the RWA number is this right here. RWA 10631. That's the bigger one, okay? So we can pull our tool out. Okay. Also, you want to make sure, see how that terminal's got a little slight bend to it? We're going to fix that too. Alright, sweet. I already got a controller. We had one on hand. That just tells you we've seen that problem too many times. You always want to make sure that these are straight. You'd think they'd come straight. There. Okay. Now, get these lined up. Make sure that green thing's out of the way. And just ease it on in there. Bam, you'll feel it click. Okay. And what I like to do, once I get one in, I want to make sure that this terminal lock will go all the way down, okay? Because if you got one messed up, it won't go in. But if I went ahead and put all three of them in and this wouldn't go down all the way, I wouldn't be sure which one it was. So I don't know, I'm just kind of a habit of pulling that thing down, just making sure that it went in before I move on to the next one. Okay, we're gonna cut this. We're gonna splice it in. So I'm gonna get rid of that there. And
That's a handy place.
yep.
Oh, interrupting
It's teaching time, Ed.
teaching. Well, I'm ripe to learn.
You're ripe to learn.
Yeah.
Well, I got one pin out successfully, and I got a new controller already. I mean, some days you're the windshield, some days you're the bug.
Yep, I'm with you there.
And I'm the bug zapper today.
Some days you don't even know.
I think we're gonna switch to blue. Okay. Put a nice blue one in there. Crimping with these OTC 90-degree crimpers. Okay. Just like that. Now you can heat shrink these down with a heat gun. It works okay. It takes way too much time. I'm pretty good with the torch, and I use these chef torches. This is a Ravs 2001 gas burner, and it works pretty good. You can dial the flame down quite a bit. some reason these chef torches work a little better in the wind. Done. There's one. So that's the process right there. So I'm just going to get the next two replaced, and if anything exciting comes along, I'll show you. All right, so how do you prevent this from happening again? Mount the controller like that. Just turn it 90 degrees, so because the connectors were going this way. Turn it 90 degrees, drill you some new holes in that plate, use nuts to secure it to the plate, and then put your two little clampies that you had on the controller and mount them down here on this plate to keep the wires off the tailings auger tube. And yeah, and you still got plenty of harness here. There is a DTAC solution about this scenario and the groted pins and everything, and they want you to take this controller and unbolt it and slide it over and only use 2 bolts to hold it on. But if you come over here and go right to the edge of this plate with this first hole, everything works just fine and you don't have to unbolt this. So this is how I do it. So now I just need to program the RC2 controller, and I downloaded a payload and I'm gonna program the RC2 controller, and then I'll have to do the unload engagement calibration. Almost done. Yep, I sure do want to install the factory settings. Yes, I do want the factory settings. Why would you even ask? Programmed successfully. All right. Okay, it's time to wakey. See if our auger works. Oh, would you look at that? Bringing in the grain cart. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I know you're not calibrated. Working on it. Go to menu, calibrations and procedure, harvest, unload, engage calibration, calibrate, engine running high idle. And then we're just going to press and hold the unload button. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and unload this and then do it again empty. Alright, we're going to do it again. We want to do an empty. So that controller is trying to figure out how many milliamps to put on that solenoid before it starts seeing speed on that unload auger drive shaft. So we can smooth the engagement so it isn't so harsh. And it's done. Alright, let's try it now. Beautiful. Awesome. Alright, good deal. Seeding corn now. Alright, finally made it back to the shop. I have got to get this auger in that unload auger tube and get that all together, and I gotta torque the wheel bolts, put the shields on, take it outside and run it, and then this thing can go bye-bye. Alright, I gotta get it splined on there, 180 apart. Yeah. That, you ain't just picking that one up by hand. I think that's it. Awesome. Cool. Alright, so I got this lid on. It goes washer, bearing, washer, spring, the drive coupler, and you time this. You put the drive cog 180 degrees from the flighting edge, and then slip on your guide and pound a roll pin through it. Correction. You got to time it to where your drive cog's in line with the edge of the flighting. The instructions say install drive coupler so the drive cog is 180 degrees from the edge of the flighting, which would be true if they were talking about this auger. See, its drive cog is 180, but if I time this one 180 apart, whenever they go together, the flighting would be actually lined up, not 180 degrees from each other. And when you look at their pictures, this is actually how they have it in the picture. They just describe it the opposite. See, now when these come together, this is right here, you know, comes in here, then it's 180 degrees apart. Gotta slide this little spacer doohickey in here. No. Oh, you guys almost fell. All right, it's time to test this bad boy out. Engaged. This code just popped up. I'm gonna run everything through the paces here. I know. All right, it's next morning. So I know that combine needs a transmission filter pressure sensor because I went to the POD address 7017. With the engine off, it should read 0 kPa, and it was reading 2. So MD'd a sensor. Another tech's gonna put that on this morning, and he's also, I forgot that combine was supposed to get the chopper gear case replaced under warranty because it's not staying in gear, which is the first X9 I've ever heard of that happening, but they had to bungee strap the lever to keep it in gear going through the season. So he's at the shop struggling trying to get that gear case off because I've had one off, and I had to cut it off into pieces because the bearing failed, and then there's this spacer that rides on the shaft behind the outer bearing, and it had welded itself to the shaft and would not come off. So I cut the gear case off into pieces to get down to that spacer, and had to cut the spacer off the shaft and air hammer it off. So he might be in for a rude awakening because he got the nut off, and it's not budging. Like 2 giant indexing bars behind it prying, not sliding off. So, you know, I left. I'm going on a service call to look at an 8R410. It's about 2 hours away, but I've got to drive a couple of the parts that I ordered for it. Didn't come in, but KZ, Sloan Implement, and KZ has got 2 of the parts that didn't come in. So KZ's kind of on my way down there, so I'm going to drive an hour to KZ and then get the parts, and then drive an hour to a little place called West Liberty, Illinois, and go look at this 8R410. Supposedly the seat won't, like the compressor and the air seat will not work, and they've messed with the switch, and they said some wires were damaged. I don't know what I'm getting into. So, you know, I just kind of ordered everything since it's so far away. I want to make sure I've got all the parts that I possibly need. So I'm gonna go drive down and get some parts. Here we are. Sloan Implement and KZ. Found him. He's spreading lime. Okay, so this took me a hot minute to figure out. This connector right here, this is the new one, but the old one was broken and the wire had come off the back, and they resoldered the wire, but they did a bunch of other stuff to the seat, and they ended up switching up the wires on the compressor motor, which threw me for a loop for a minute, but I didn't have any power at this switch. So got to testing, and I didn't have power between this connector right here and that connector. Sorry, it's hard to see in here. That connector down on the floor. So I ran a new wire and I finally got power to the switch, but then it still wouldn't work. So then I got to looking at the compressor down here, and they had these two wires switched up. So that's why the compressor wouldn't come on after I got power to it. So now I just got to get everything all tidied up and get that one wire that I ran running along the harness and all secured so it can just stay there permanently, because I'm not putting a whole entire lower seat harness for that. Well, dang it. I got this thing all back together, and then I raised it up, and then it quit working. It wouldn't raise up, it wouldn't lower. So there's more wires involved. Back here, when I wiggle the corner of that original harness up and down, then I can get the seat to go up and down, but only if I wiggle it. So we're just gonna have to put a lower seat harness in this thing, but I'm just trying to get this seat in a position where it'll be comfortable to run for a day. Off to the next one. Oh boy, look at this corner. Man, I hate working on seats. It is at the top of my list of things that I hate to work on the most, and that is seats. And the Ultimate seats are even worse because they literally have everything. They're heated, cooled, massaging, air seat. I mean, they got everything, and they are very complicated. And you know, there's just not a lot of room for a guy that's 6'4", 300 pounds to be walling around inside of one of those cabs working on those seats. So that's probably the main reason why I don't like to work on them, because it's just no fun. You're either on your knees or you're bent over the back of the seat. And anyway, so I got a harness ordered for that, so I'm gonna have to go replace the whole entire lower seat harness on that. So I'm looking forward to that. But now I'm going even further south, 52 minutes more south than I already am. I'm already about 2 hours south of the store to go look at another tractor that's got an AC problem. It's an 8R410. They're saying that it's just not cooling well. So, but I'm gonna go hunt down a burger or something. It's 1:30, 1:48. This guy's hungry. You guys are not going to believe this. So I drove all the way down there, got up in the cab, turned it on. Yep, not blowing cold air. Pushed the AC button on the screen to bring up the AC menu. AC was turned off. Turned the AC on. I'm sitting there holding it. operator, young kid sitting there in the seat. I'm like, it's going now. He's like, are you serious that all it was? And I said, you know, you do know there's no one out here that can hear you scream, right? Oh, you should have seen the look on his face. But I was only half joking. All right, well, I made it back to the shop. Appreciate you guys tagging along for all the wonderful adventures that we go on. You know, you just never know where you're gonna end up, okay? So that's gonna be all for this video. So like the video, subscribe, please subscribe below. If I've done anything to ever help you guys out, please consider subscribing, really helps me out. And until next time, keep that green iron moving.